Welcome to the Optimum Synergy Podcast. I'm here today in Boise, Idaho, at the Rag Company with three. Do we count him?
We don't have to count Tim. He's hiding.
Okay, sound engineers don't count.
Yeah.
I'm here with 3 people and a sound engineer.
That's right.
All right, Levi.
Hey, I'm here. And we're also on the TRC main show, or I guess Dane actually makes these into Detox. So this is pretty exciting just because it's a crossover episode.
Absolutely.
The OPT podcast and the TRC podcast. So.
It's our second one that we've done like this.
Yeah, second one. And we have 2 other people in.
Heck yeah, Christina and
Rafael.
Hello.
Cuevas.
I don't know why that gives me trouble. You wouldn't think it would. Anyway, and just one more time, I want to give a big thanks to Rafael for letting me hang out with him at his work, at his other work yesterday. And it was really nice. I just appreciated it to get some insight.
Well, I was excited you got to spend the whole day.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, so that was good. It was a nice little bonus.
It was great. Obviously learning from your side of things, what I can change on my side of things to help all of us grow in this industry. So it was really awesome. I appreciated the time.
So for those of you that don't know, hopefully you've seen stuff that Christina and Ralph have put on Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully you follow CRC Detail. Is that right? That's the Instagram handle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Facebook. See what they're doing. They are a husband and wife team that you guys do PPF, you do details, you do coatings, corrections, all that stuff. And then Rafael works for a dealership as well as a recon manager.
I know. So I thought when I went there, I was thinking, okay, he's going to be wearing some, Dickies and a work shirt and out in the back in the detail department. And I go in there.
You're like, I got to hang out in an office all day.
Yeah. He's in the office. People are coming knocking on the door to ask him
back.
questions and stuff. I was like, oh, this guy's a boss. But I from what I understand, he is not the boss of the detailing business on the other side.
No, that's her gig.
Yeah.
Christina. She's the boss.
Which is really cool. Just all around.
So how did you guys start it?
On a whim. It was something that, we saw a need for, we had people asking and...
No, you dig a little bit deeper than that because we talked about so much stuff yesterday. I think the part that was really impressive was before that, how you've taken goals throughout your life and you make goals, and I think that's a really inspirational part of the story.
Yeah. So obviously digging deeper,
Back.
Yeah. Let's go way back. This, for me, to provide has been the key for everything that we do. Obviously being able to, have X amount of income, to live a certain way, and financially it's very rewarding. Detail company, most people think, oh, you're cleaning cars all day and you're making next to nothing. But, there's so many awesome that you can get out of it, from coatings to PPF. Those things are very lucrative and everybody wants them.
Yeah.
So I seen it as an opportunity to make more money.
Yeah.
So everybody sets goals in life. Everybody wants certain things in life. We set out to have a house, have kids, have cars, have all the things that you need to that are nice to have. Nice things are nice to have.
Yeah.
So, with that comes an expense. So you have to set up numbers and go, okay, we have to hit these numbers in life to acquire said things. Yeah. Most people just assume that, you drive a nice car, so it just magically appears in your garage. It doesn't. Everything takes a number sooner or later to achieve certain goals. So I've always played that numbers game myself. At 25, I needed to make 50,000. At 35, I needed to make 75. And just always doubled and tripled that number that I knew I needed to hit. Yep. So you just use certain things to get to that point. And when one income avenue isn't enough, you find another one. And so that's what we did as a team, obviously, we got together and put our heads together and said, well, can we do this, you know?
Wait. When you brought it up, I thought you were kidding. Because he comes out with these, like, off-the-wall ideas. And so when he brought it up, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we could do so. I just kind of blew it off a little bit because I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is one of his little side things he wants to do. And then I think about a month or two later, he's like, all right, this is it. Like, we're doing this. I'm like, what? What are we doing? He's like, you need to think of a name. For what? He's like, the detail company. I thought you were joking. He's like, no, you said yeah. I'm like, yeah, I say yeah to everything though. He's like, no, but we need a name. I'm like, okay. So it took us about a couple weeks, but then I decided to do our initials. I felt like that was a little bit easier. Yeah. Christina Rafael Cuevas detailing. So
there you go.
That's how we got our CRC name. But yeah. And then from then on, I was like, all right, I need some education. So then he helped me in that area, gave me some pointers of where to go and look, and I started from there. And
it's at home.
Yeah, well, not our
mobile, and but you have a shop that you can work out of.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we have a full-time shop, and we have our mobile trailer that we acquired a year ago. Mm-hmm. A year ago that we started really getting out into the mobile world, and that was almost on a whim as well, because you know, I had a friend that said, hey, we have, you know, X amount of cars in our fleet that we transport people in that need washed. Do you do mobile? No.
But I can.
Oh. But, you know, and then, you know, we dove into it. You know, we went head first into it, bought a trailer and generator and pressure washers, and
little by little we started buying everything so we could equip the trailer.
We obviously came here, spent quite a bit of money on rags.
Well, and you and I went
Today's podcast is being brought to you by the money that they spent on their towels.
I want to thank you guys for outfitting your business. But no, you and I went to lunch and we were talking about all that stuff. So I'm thankful that you are doing so much, and so you guys are doing really well for just barely. It's been not even 2 years.
No.
Two and a half?
It'll be 2 in July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we made it official.
Yeah. That we were official and that we were working and
legal entity and the whole 9 yards.
And it's been successful, which is amazing. Like there's always guys that try and get in this. They have these schemes, they try and do it, but you guys thought everything through.
Yeah, we sat down. We put a business plan together. Yeah. You know, and for anything to work, whether it be sports, whether it be anything, you have to game plan, and that's what the success is attributed to her. You know, and her planning everything out and saying, well, no, this is what we have to do. Yeah. And I'm like, no, but let's just put it all in a pot and stir it up and see what comes out of
it. That's how I roll.
Yeah, that's how I make things happen. She, on the other hand, no, we have to measure this, we have to measure this, we have to measure this. You know, everything has a place and a position. So
it's a perfect balance. Somebody who's fly by the seat of their pants and a dreamer, and somebody who's very analytical and makes sure that things get handled properly. Are we doing this on video too? Is that thing actually
look at that camera if you want?
Are we live somewhere?
No, we're just recording.
Okay. I'm going to throw up a thing so we're doing this on Facebook Live too. Is that... No? Okay.
We can on one of them if you want.
Okay. Another thing that is so key to what you guys are doing is you're making multiple revenue streams, which just gives you a blanket of security. So many of the people that we see are so focused on one thing, even to the point where they have a business and they take all of that money that they make from the business and it all goes directly into the business without something being set aside for later. It's just diversity. It's huge.
And all that is literally her. Like, I attribute all of the success literally to her. I can make things happen. You know, I can polish. I can, you know, all that. The hands-on stuff is the easy part. It's everything behind the scenes that keeps you successful and makes you successful. You know, and it's the woman.
So do you do detailing work as well as you take care of all the books for that business too?
The books, sometimes it's half and half. Sometimes Rafael will help me because he's more of a computer person than I am, so if I have any questions, I'll ask him. But I do like the behind the scenes, obviously, cleaning up, organizing, making sure, replenishing everything that we need in the shop, cleaning everything up, and just kind of, we communicate, whether it's a joke, email, or we have our little like chat little thing, and I'm like, hey, we need this, or put this on the list if you're going to order something soon. And so we kind of, he sometimes will do more of the hands-on, and sometimes I will. It really depends what it is.
And we actually split. Anytime we do a detail, we'll split it. Like, I do everything exterior, she does everything interior. Like, not that she's not good at exterior or I'm not good at interior, but those are our two strengths.
Now, you're just detailing on the weekend?
Weekend and evenings.
Okay, so you work all day and then you go home and...
Oh, yeah.
And I do during the day.
Yeah.
While
Kids are in school.
2 of them are in school, the other one hangs out with me.
So here's what I think would be really neat. Say how your process of learning detailing and how it's got you to where it is. Like, how did it start? Because this idea was just thrown on you. I take it you weren't detailing
Right.
cars prior to
Well,
that.
We have a brother-in-law at the time who detailed for Toyota. And so we pretty much pulled him aside, and I was like, all right, show me what I need to know. Introduce me to these cleaners. And I'm like, I'm here to learn. You're my teacher. And so I think a good solid 2 weeks. And if we had any questions, he did not hesitate to answer anything. Even if they sounded dumb, he's like, no, don't be, don't feel like you're asking dumb questions, because you're not, you're learning. And I was so like, I'm so anal. So like, I seriously look at every corner, make sure everything got checked, and I double check everything. And then he's like, you're better than the ones that we have at the dealership. And I'm like, yeah, you're not recruiting me, buddy. I got my own business. Thank you. So yeah, it was a good 2 weeks of hands-on. And I wouldn't really use certain cleaners without somebody there, because I was paranoid that I was going to ruin somebody's car, and that was not what I was about to do, because it wasn't like we got like a junk car to practice on. It was someone's everyday car that I was working on. And so after those 2 weeks, I was like, all right, I feel good, I feel confident. And then not too much time later, then I was introduced to Levi, I was introduced to Dan, and then we learned a little bit more of the Optimum products, and then I started playing with those on our personal cars, so then if I did something wrong, which I didn't, it would be, on ours, and I wouldn't have to worry about ruining someone's car. But it didn't. It was just more stuff just more product, and then I would start looking at podcast videos and just other little things on how to try and get something done quicker and efficient versus something that would take me like 2 hours to do. I found a way to do it like less, like cut the time in half, and so just continuing on videos now. My brother-in-law did his part.
It's pretty neat. When I started detailing, we had to walk uphill in the snow both ways to get to the shop.
We didn't have videos.
No, we didn't have the video thing wasn't there. Facebook wasn't there. I mean,
No, but I was thankful for my brother-in-law to,
I didn't even have your brother-in-law.
But that's that's how I learned, was the guy showed me.
Right.
And it was 20 years ago. And every person that I've either trained or taught, I've learned from, or learned new tricks from other people, because honestly, being able to have somebody there to show you, and you can ask questions and you can do that stuff, makes a big difference.
it's better than a video. I'm more of a hands-on person. If Rafa shows me a video and I was like, I need to find a class so I can be one-on-one, or not necessarily one-on-one, but like in person, so I can ask my questions. So if I'm doing something wrong, they can correct me right there, and I'll grow and learn that way. That's just how I am. He can look at videos and be like, okay, I got this. And I can look at videos and be like, yeah, I got this, but there's a couple things I'm questioning. Yeah. So, but that's
if you ever need to, like during the daytime, I'm always available to answer questions too. Like say he's busy or something, where I can even go on Skype and you can show me exactly what you're working on, and I can try to help you, especially with the products that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I went to school for custom paint 20 years ago, and part of the custom paint was obviously learning how to polish and cut and buff and all that stuff. So what I learned 20 years ago is way different than what is possible now.
Were you shooting base coat, clear coat 20 years ago?
Yeah.
That was like brand new back then, huh?
That was the cat's meow back then. you know, and Clear Coat was like, oh, we're going to do this,
Very
you know.
nice.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be awesome, and candies and, you know, all this fun stuff. And, you know, you can't buff too hard. You can't go too fast. You can't, you know, all this fun stuff. And things have changed. Things have changed. You know, the game has changed. Compounds have changed. And it's been fun to relearn, you know, a different method.
Yeah, it is a totally different.
It's a different method of doing things. And that's one thing that I preach to my guys at the dealership and our guys that work with us. You know, we don't have to do things one certain way. There's multiple ways to do things. There's a lot of new technology. If we stay in one room and don't go out of that room and you walk into another one later on, things have changed.
Yeah.
You know, you can either choose to look in that other room and peek what's coming out, what's new, what's going to help you, what's going to benefit you time-wise, efficiency-wise, and cut down your cost. Because at the end of the day, everybody's in business to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do it because I enjoy it, but I also do it to make money. You know, so if you can find a way to streamline something and make it more efficient and less cost on you, it's a win-win. You know, and that's what I feel about the Optimum line. It's really streamlined a lot of things, you know, cut down your time on cutting and buffing and polishing, all that fun stuff that, you know, used to be, oh, you got to wipe everything off. Now use...
And some of those
Or
compounds,
mask
you would have
everything
to
off.
wash the car in between steps to
Yeah.
get some of those
Yeah.
gnarly
No, there was
abrasives
some
off.
that I did. I remember having to, pull it over and pressure wash it and just try and get everything out of the cracks and door jams and
Ain't nothing
little
efficient
spots
about that.
and- Yeah, no, it just adds time.
Yep.
You know, so
And that's what people don't realize. You know, it's, oh, we're gonna change this up, gonna change that up, but oh, this is, you know, we reference snake oil a
Yeah.
lot. You know, for especially in this industry, you know, a lot of people, oh, that's just another snake oil that we're putting over the
Right.
top of something. We become jaded because of it.
well, and not to bring in a dealership into this, but there were notorious salesmen that would go into the dealerships to literally sell nothing but a warranty
Exactly.
to a customer.
Yeah.
And so it's hard as a detailer coming into some of these areas and trying to explain that we actually have products that work and actually change the, you know, they actually add protection and they have a warranty. And it's us doing this and teaching these people, teaching our customers.
You think that's hard? Go into the dealership and try to talk them into it.
Yeah. Like, hold on a second. That's a great product. You can light the hood on fire.
They're like, that's a mop and slop. I've seen it for the last
Yeah.
30 years, and they turn around and walk away.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard when you're trying to come up and have to fight that being a snake oil salesman. When you're not, you're actively going like, no, this is real.
You know, and that's one of the huge differences that I see nowadays. We try so much to convince somebody that this works, but the more I do this, it's more about just educating people, allowing people to see, this is what it does, here's why, here's scientific proof, here is, you know, actual proof that it works. You do your own research.
Yeah.
You educate yourself.
Yep. And with podcasts, with videos, with all that, it has allowed a greater expansion of knowledge for customers to do their own research.
Yeah.
So I always found that I'd have customers that would come, they'd ask questions, and then I'd send them, like we've always stated, you send them the info, let them do their own research, they get on it, they'll start, you know, putting it up against the ones that they're getting offered in the dealerships.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, they come back and go, yeah, I'll just have you do it.
Yeah.
Do what you're doing. So,
Times are changing, though. Times are changing.
We've
Yeah.
had plenty of customers that called us, asked us questions, and then we hear back from about a week later.
yeah.
And now, I think that was something that we talked about yesterday, too. You're starting to actually get calls where people are talking about ceramic. Like, it's becoming a buzzword,
It is.
both in the dealership and in the outside, where people are just knowing about this.
Yeah, and again, that comes down to education. You know,
Yeah.
a podcast, geez, you know, YouTube is huge. You know, people, oh, I saw this on YouTube. I saw a video of this. I saw, you know, what is it? Well, here's what it is. You know, here's a link to go watch something else. You know, and it just allows people to to get out more. You know, we talked about social media and, you know, word of mouth. Obviously, social media has a huge reach, you know, for a large market, whereas, you know, word of mouth is a close proximity to what you do. But it's huge. You know, being able to educate people is the key factor to everything.
Yeah.
And what do you think that the keys are to educating people properly? You know, I mean, you can have some say traditional snake oil tricks where you're lighting something on fire, or, you know, I don't really want to be too specific because this is a very wide-reaching podcast.
Spray
but
paint the hood and wipe the paint off.
yeah. and then like what the product really does. And then do you think that by doing crazy shenanigan sales techniques that it actually detracts from the group as a whole?
I do believe so. You know, coming from a dealership standpoint of view, you do have, oh, this guy's coming in, he's going to light the hood on fire. And literally, I have the video of the last time that we had a guy come in and lit the hood on fire.
Is that what they're expecting in there?
That's what we see a lot of, you know. People come in and go, I got this great product, spray it on, wipe it on, and check this out. He took a lighter and hit the hood, and I was like, what are you proving? Like, you change the surface tension. What?
You know, if they really want to be impressive, they do like a magician and they shake their arms and doves fly out of their sleeves and they poop all over the hood.
Yeah.
And he lit it on fire, and I was like, I looked at my friend Jesse, and I was just like, this is the presentation that we're getting? Like, this really is happening. Like, you hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, guys come in and, you know, they're going to do a song and dance for you, and they're going to present their product, and you're going to buy it. Well, when it literally happened in front of us, I was like, this is real. Like,
I can't believe this just happened.
this is really happening. Like, you hear about it, but I just witnessed it.
Was he mad confident the whole time? Or
The whole time. Like, he was just like, yep, lit it on fire. And I was like,
That's when you grab some alcohol and you walk up and wipe it off and go, okay, now do it again. I was like,
what in the like?
Hold on.
And then it was in the middle of the showroom floor. Like, everybody was around watching the show go down, and I'm just like, this is unreal. This is really awesome. Like, this dude is actually doing this. Like, it's not on The Simpsons where they're trying to sell something. Like, it's happening,
Yeah.
real life. So it's interesting. You know, you get all these guys that come in and they want to sell you something, but they use extreme.
Yeah, it's a sideshow tactic.
Exactly. You know, and that's at the point where you go, okay, I'm in a meeting, I'm out. You know. So, in order to get.
Have you ever tried to not challenge them, but bring in more questions?
Yeah. It's a lot of backpedaling and a lot of, oh, look at the birdie over here situations. You know.
Yes, you, sir. You had a question.
you. Well, no, I haven't finished it. You know, and it's.
They turned into a politician all of a sudden.
They do.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes.
Thanks for
gentleman
coming
on the
today.
left there.
Yeah, and it happens all the time, you know. And I said Jesse because he was a detail kid that worked with me. He'll be here Saturday for the show. But I looked at him and I was like, is this really happening? Like, what is going on? He's just looking at me like, I don't know. Are we supposed to buy it now because he was able to light it on fire? Like, what do we do? You know?
Well, and
I've not had any of our cars. BMWs have not been catching on fire, so this is irrelevant to us.
Well, you know, that's what those owners do. They get that put on, and that's the first thing they're going to do. Honey, check out, look what I bought this BMW, and I put this extra coat on, and look what it can do. Show my friends off. Let's light the hood on fire. Steve, come on over.
Steve,
light
check this
the
out.
hood on fire. Look what I got.
You know, I think that really doesn't do anything because the alcohol burns and the heat rises.
Yeah. It doesn't-
So, like, it really doesn't matter if it's coated or not coated.
No. You can do it with a freshly waxed surface. It's not going to hurt it.
Yeah. Just changing the. Yeah.
That's funny. So, how are you guys marketing the company? Like word of mouth or
A lot of word of mouth.
Facebook, Instagram?
So we do have our Instagram, but a lot of it is word of mouth. So we work on one customer's
Friends and
car.
family and
Well, just even outside customers, they'll come and then they'll be like, hey, my neighbor saw my car. I gave him your number, and then we hear from the neighbor, and it's a lot of just...
the trailer's logoed.
The trailer's
Yeah.
logoed.
So if you do go to someone's house
Yep.
to work on something, that's it's out front.
Yep.
And-
Yep.
It's a rolling billboard.
Yeah, well, you had that. You were mobile for years.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge thing to do. You know, it's the cheapest advertisement you can do.
And we'll
You know.
sometimes set it out outside of our shop, too. We kind of just move it around.
Yeah.
And I like the whole concept of that. With my business, the bread and butter of it was my maintenance people. So I would either do a full detail or I'd coat somebody's car when coatings came into play. And then I would take care of it either on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And that always kept me busy. Even when there was not other big jobs coming in, I always had jobs. I see so many, I just saw a thing on Facebook where people were talking about this, like dropping all of their lower services. But it's such a relevant thing, and you keep that customer and the word of mouth that it creates if you're not just hitting them one time with a coating and then whoosh, you don't see them again. And even for the people that have the shop, there's something really great about the customer who gets the convenience of having you come to take care of their car. And maybe it's not as the same as charging $5,000 or $8,000 to do a polish, coating, PPF and coating, but why not have that customer afterwards and that's the ultimate care that they're going to get for their car. I don't know why more people don't do that. Why would you be saying, let's just lose all of our lower businesses? But then on the other side of the coin, you got somebody like Joe Torbati who I don't even think they have an extractor and a vacuum in their shop probably.
Well, and I look at it at a different, like, we live in Idaho, so we don't have nice weather year round. Like
I always forget that about everybody else.
So we're in a time period where it's hard to get those, the retail end of that drops. So the retail end that you are going to get is mostly going to be interiors, because customers will call for that, or washes, just because they got to get the scum off the car and they don't want to take it through a car wash if you've done work on it before. So we do have to reach out for those smaller jobs, which is some wholesale work. Is hopefully some form of a maintenance wash. I had customers that would still come in even in the winter, which was nice. But what was I going? I was going to say something with that. But basically, like, we have to find that smaller aspect. So, like, it would be great, and I thought of it like, oh man, it'd be awesome to be like those guys that could just, this is a package, this is the price, I don't do anything else. But I was a detailer through 2008. So when the market crashed, and we were the first to be affected because people weren't buying new cars. People weren't selling their cars. People weren't trading in their cars. And so cars weren't getting sold. So we weren't, dealerships weren't moving vehicles.
Nope.
You couldn't get a loan for a car. So trade-ins weren't coming in. So the dealerships weren't sending the little work over to us. And we had to, figure it out. And we had to change, and people weren't willing to pay that much money, but they still wanted to keep their car because they weren't able to trade it in, or they weren't able to sell it, or they were losing their jobs.
They had to keep that car
They had to
longer.
keep that car a couple more years. So then it was a little stumble when they had to find, okay, if I'm going to keep this car, I better put some money in it, I'll clean it up, let's do this. And we had to kind of change and figure out, I was in a very large volume production shop at the time. And we went from 12 guys to 6 guys, and then down to 4 guys during that time period. But we made it through, and so I look at that and go, there's always, at some point, always going to be a correction. So detailers should never count themselves out or cut themselves out of maintenance washes, interior details, easy,
The diversity of that money coming
simple
in.
work. Yeah.
Multiple. You know what I did in
wanna have
2008?
multiple
I bought a house.
Yeah. So did I.
And I was washing people's cars for $40 or $50, and I bought a house with it, and while other people were going out of business
Yeah,
because they
I
were
bought a
only
house,
trying to do
and
the
then-
high end.
Then the market crashed, and I was like, oh no.
I waited right till after it crashed, actually.
Yeah, no, I got mine right before it did.
Eesh.
Bought my house at the peak of the market. It was great.
Ouch.
I finally just now have equity backs, but thankfully I made it out. I didn't lose my house. I still had my house, still have all this, but I look at it from that point of just be prepared. So having that nice flow of stuff,
Yeah, it doesn't, you don't have to hit every car with PPF. You don't have to hit every car with the coating. It's not in everybody's budget.
Yeah.
If you want to cut everything out and remove your maintenance line per se, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Because that's what keeps it's the repeat business that keeps you in business.
Yeah.
Everybody assumes that, oh, I did 10 coatings this week. Right, but now you're done.
Yeah.
Now you're done. Now your revenue stream has dried up. So it's the repetition of business that continues to keep you in business. And when you're in business and you can figure that out, that's when you will become successful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's just a numbers game.
And you do PPF.
Yeah.
Yep. So did you guys go to do the training? You did the training.
Yeah, I went to Memphis.
But you haven't done the Synergy training, the actual class.
Right.
Yet. You did the PPF class.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How'd that go?
That was awesome. I got Mac one-on-one, which isn't always the
and
case
it was just
for everybody.
you for that.
Yeah, it was just me.
Sometimes he has 2 or 3 guys,
Yep.
but you were able to get.
Yeah, one of the gentlemen that was scheduled to be there had family issues and couldn't make it for that class, so it was just Mac and I one-on-one in Memphis. So anything that I had Mac on my shoulder. He was right there the whole time, guiding me and showing me, and that was fun. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Everybody assumes that because you've done one type of vinyl laying that it's going to be exactly the same. It's not.
Yeah. There's a learning curve.
There is a huge learning curve,
But it's just like polishing paint. You can go and take a class and learn how to polish.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it's always going to work on every car.
Yeah.
Or every
No,
type.
we burned through 2 rolls of film, practicing. Rip it off and redo it again.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve. Everyone assumes that you're good to go.
And for anybody that's out there listening, that learning curve can be greatly shortened by going to the class.
Oh yeah.
I have a couple guys who have just not ever done PPF, and they tried to take it on, and we'll figure it out, and they got really frustrated because they spent so much money on burning film.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to the amount of expertise that's available. Mac's been doing it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 20, 30 years in film.
Long time.
Yeah.
So to have somebody who's used all the different types, been with all the different companies, ran successful film shops, done all that, to be able to help you along, and let you pick his brain makes a big difference.
Yeah, there's been 10:30 at night phone calls to Mac. Hey, I can't figure this out. What am I doing wrong? What's going on? And he's been great. He gets on the phone. Oh, okay, here, do this. Son of a, It's like, how easy is that, to get on the phone? And a lot of times, it's a pride thing where you're like, I'm not going to call yet. I'll figure this out. But it's so much easier to just pick up the phone and go, hey, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more I do that.
Yeah.
I will just, I'm not going to try to figure it out myself. I'm not going to waste my time. And funny story. So yesterday we were looking at a thing, and there's a report that I have to write and blah, blah, blah. I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I was trying to figure it out on my Apple computer. And I was looking at Pages trying to figure out where to do it. And so I just went right to the Apple store. I'm like, I'm just going to go figure this out with somebody who knows, and they'll just show me. Well, I went in there, and so I sat down with the lady, and she opened up the thing, and she goes, oh, you want to use numbers? And pops up this whole thing, which is just like XPEL. And I was like, okay, thanks, click, and I was out.
That's awesome.
I'm glad I didn't waste more time trying to figure that out on my own.
Yeah.
The answer was so darn obvious.
So is it just the 2 of you still in the shop, or do you have somebody else helping?
We have total of 3 people that will help us out. Her cousin.
My cousin.
He helped us through the summer. We got him going, trained up, and I have 2 other guys that'll help us out when we're shorthanded. 2 brothers actually.
Even better.
Yeah.
Makes it nice.
Yeah. So it's nice. They both they worked at car wash places here in town, and I met them through softball.
Yeah.
And one day I was needing help moving cars, and we had a game, and I was like, game's over. Who's going to come help me move cars?
And they came over.
And they came over, and they found out what we were doing, and they're like, well, we know what we're doing. Do you ever need help? Like,
Yeah.
well, I've got 40 cars that need done.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how we brought those guys on, and it's been fun. You know, they do a good job, but they're definitely car wash guys.
Yeah, there is a difference.
Yeah, no, and there is, and it's learning their strengths and how to best utilize them the best way you can.
Exactly.
So,
They're good for doing the roof of the cars because they're tall. You know, and literally that was one of the things we're like, well, dude, you get to do the top.
Yeah.
Like you can reach it without getting on the pedestal, and
With a little ladder.
you know, we don't have to move it around. You can reach
awesome.
So did you learn how to do PPF also?
Yeah.
I did on the smaller pieces. I haven't done like my own or anything. I've helped with the hoods, but I've done more of the smaller sections for starters.
What do you think?
It's not as hard. When I see him do the hoods, I'm like, I don't know. I think I need a little bit more work on that. Like, I don't trust myself doing the hood by myself yet. Like, I still need an extra hand.
And are you guys doing using all the software and doing pre-cuts, or are you doing any
Sometimes.
freestyle stuff?
Some half and half.
Yeah. So we do have the software for production stuff that is easy cheesy, like, oh, you're doing a fender or something like that. Just cut it out and let the machine cut it out for you. Hoods are kind of tricky because the majority of stuff that we do is a full hood. Like, we rarely get a front bra.
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing of the past. Now everybody wants everything covered, so a whole hood won't cut out of the machine, even though, because they're 60 inches only, by whatever length you want to make them. And most of the hoods that we do are 67 inches wide.
So we have to stretch it.
It's you can't cut it. You have to stretch it and bulk it in better terms. But when it comes to door cups, headlights, stuff like that, have the machine cut it for you.
Yeah.
It's so much quicker.
Yeah.
You know, front bumpers, have the machine cut it for you. Some stuff, you know, if it's got a nice even curve, it's easier to bulk. It's quicker, you know, but it just comes down to how many different cuts are in something, how jagged, how straight. Corvettes, Camaros, let the machine cut it out for you. Just because there's so many ridges, so many angles that you have to try to get around, just let the machine cut it for you and then lay it, you know, whereas like a Tesla or something that's well rounded, it's easier to just stretch it yourself and do it that way. You know, a BMW 7 Series, it's easier to let the machine cut it for you because there's ridges and, you know, especially the M Sport package ones, there's a lot
different spots,
a lot of angles that you've got to try to roll around, and it's easier just let the machine cut the reliefs in for you and do it. You know, that's one thing that I have learned the hard way.
For the most part, when you do those pre-cuts, they line up so close together, or if it's right on the body, like, you know, where the line is on the two panels coming together, you really can't see it. Mm-hmm. And some of the people are very, very anal, and they have to have it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Have you ever done anything like where you take it apart to tuck things in or something? I heard some people do that, which is
depending on the car that you're getting. I've had to take, you know, so on some of the cars, people want everything rolled inside. Well, there's seals and stuff on the inside, so learn how to take the interior of an engine compartment apart so that you can get to those edges and be able to roll it out. So it's you have to not just have a understanding of the film, you got to understand how to take stuff apart too.
I can take stuff apart really, really well. It's the putting it back together that I have such a problem with.
So, you know, because you don't do that every day, you got your phone with you. Just take a picture of how it goes. And if you can't remember how to do it,
don't matter to me. I'm just not that. I know my skill set. It's not putting stuff together.
So you guys have 3 kids?
Yes, 3.
How old are they?
4, 6, and 10.
So the 4-year-old stays home
Yes.
with you.
Yep.
And then the 6 and 10-year-old are both in school.
Yep.
And so you guys take them to school in the morning.
Yes.
Who takes them to school in the morning?
I'll drop them off 90% of the time.
She starts working. Right?
Yep.
Right. So if I take the kids to school, then obviously after drop off, I go straight to the shop.
Yeah.
If he takes them, then obviously I wait for the morning rush to kind of go through, and then I just follow behind. So it's like an hour difference, really. Unless I get distracted, then maybe 2 hours, which I try not to.
And then picking them up from school, do they get...
I pick them up.
You pick them up. And then back to the shop?
If I need to, I'll go back to the shop if it's like, customers picking up or customers dropping off, something that I know that someone needs to be there for. It depends on the day, on the schedule. And if not, then I typically will go home, and then he'll come after his first job.
After work's done, and then you come home and maybe eat, and then go back.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I try and get as much done during that time frame while the kids are in school.
Yeah.
If I'm done with, like you said, I typically will do the interior. If I'm done with my part, then I kind of start prepping everything, getting everything ready for him. So then when he comes in, it's all ready to go for him.
Just get in and knock it out. Nice.
Yeah.
So interior is your favorite.
I think interior is what was my job after that training that I got from my brother-in-law. They saw that I was like, they're like, yeah, she has more of the eye for the inside for little things. And
that's good though, because that's always the kicker.
No.
Because that's 90% of where people are going to spend their time. They're never going to, in all honesty, like I always joke that I had customers that I could sell an interior detail all day long because that's where they're at. And all I have to do is wash their car and they're like, oh my gosh, looks amazing. This looks great. And it's like, it's just washed, but I could fix this and I could fix that. And they're like, all they cared about was inside because that's where they spend their time. And so that's kind of where you need to be.
And so many of the people just focus on the outside and doing a coating on the outside.
The sexy side. Everybody wants to do that.
I tell you, you do the interior coating package on a car, on a newer car. That's
the easiest work you'll ever do.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah. Yep. And everybody, like Levi says, they want the sexy, and
the detailers want to do the sexy side of it.
Yeah. If you want to stay in business, you have to do all of it.
Yeah.
No matter what anybody says.
And my inner mom, I'm like, no, you got 3 kids in the car all the time. You want your car clean.
Yeah.
Inside.
So this is a little joke for me, is that I would find I'd have customers that were friends of mine that would bring their cars to me. And I knew that the owners of that car were very germ conscious, and they'd be hand sanitizer on the kids, and you go to their house and it's like, take your shoes off, and everybody in the house is immaculate, and they drop the car off and you'd get in and you're like, this is a garbage can. Like, your children are literally riding in a garbage can, like, and it was such a mind mess for me, because I'm like, no, but you do this and you do this, and you, like, when we go visit you guys, like, we have to take our shoes off to walk in the house, but like, you literally, it's a garbage can. Your car's a garbage can.
Yeah.
And it's funny when people don't, like, they have that disconnect. They don't realize that, especially when you're taking kids around.
Right. Well, for us, our commute, it's 45 minutes one way.
Yeah.
So if I do, like, leave from, like, if I don't have anything for one day, I'm obviously leaving in the afternoon, just kind of do, like, the
Loop.
route, like, the loop, the little round trip there. So that's an hour and a half. And typically, sometimes the kids will want a snack, and I'm like, well, yeah, just pick up your trash. Of course, Mom does the vacuuming and cleaning of the seats, but at least pick up your trash and any little mess that you have then.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love about, I coated the interior of my wife's car for that reason, on both cars that I've had for her. So that way, because I'm the one that's got to clean it up. Yeah. And so it makes it easier on my end when I'm weekly cleaning the car, because I don't know how it is. My kids are the same age as your guys. They're 4 and 6, and I don't know how they make the mess they make.
It's impressive.
It's like, why are there footprints over here?
What? How did you get? What in the world?
Your legs aren't that long. How did you get a footprint up there?
I'm impressed that now that you're not detailing full time anymore, that you still get your car once a week.
Yeah. No, I polished and coated it last week, so I was testing a different coating from a different company, and I tried it out on that car.
All right.
You never know; it might come off.
I'm sure it will.
But the interior coating is all Optimum, so.
All right.
It's all good.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But it makes a difference. I think, and I would always tell that to some customers, is like, especially the ones that I knew that were a little more picky or a little more, had a little harder time keeping their car clean. Because it made my life easier as a detailer. And that was the other reason I sell coatings, is to make myself not have to work so hard.
That's so true. Like, maintenance line, not necessarily the maintenance product line, but if you set something up to make your job easier, coatings, gloss coat, all that stuff makes your job so much easier if you've got to go back and rewash that car.
Especially on a customer that you know is going to be coming in every few months.
And it's so easy to do, and it doesn't cost you a ton of money to do it. Just makes your life easier, and then you become more efficient. And that's the name of the game. Is I started out as a mechanic, and flat rate is the term that is used a lot.
And that's how I paid my guys, was the same way.
You have flat rate. A door is going to take you an hour to do. You get an hour, but if you get it done in a half hour, you still get that hour. So if you can become more efficient,
but we did piece rate, not flat rate. So you
it's
had to do the
same
whole
thing.
car, but
right, but it's the same. But it's exact same.
You're gonna make more money.
Yeah, it's the exact same. Process and terminology. It's just a different.
Yeah, it's just a different method.
It's a different method, but it's you're still paying per contract per se.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, your contract for the whole car as opposed to a door. So if you can get it done in an hour and it pays 2 hours, you just made money. Instead of making $10 an hour, you made $20 an hour or $40 an hour. Depending on what your hourly rate is. So it just becomes a magic number. Numbers game.
I like magic. I still like the doves coming out of the thing over the car.
Poop all over the car.
Yeah. That's my kind of magic.
We can figure out a way to make that happen for you on your trips now, and you can run around, walk into those dealerships. Hey, have I got a show for you guys?
Well, you have a couple days till Saturday, so
yeah, we can figure something out.
Maybe where is the pet store around here?
Yeah.
I gotta figure this out. Okay.
What are you guys' plans for the shop? Do you want to grow it bigger? Do you like where the size of it is? Do you like?
So a little bit of everything, we've talked about expanding, getting a bigger shop. We've looked at lots, commercial lots right now to expand even more. And we're taking it slowly, but growth is in our future. Yeah. Obviously, long term, be one of the bigger ones in town, and just continue to grow.
Yeah.
Obviously, the business side of things, it's gonna come. Yeah. Like the old adage of you build it, they will come. That's what we're after. So we're taking it slowly, and we've done things smart, in my opinion, financially. We've, we didn't get a loan for the trailer. We paid cash for it. And, that's all of our equipment. Paid with cash. We've reinvested into the company so that we haven't had to have a huge overhead.
Right.
We did have to take a small loan when we did the PPF, but that was a substantial amount of money for machine training and all the equipment. So, but for the most part, we run pretty lean.
It sounds like it's just humming along so good that how you have it without having to have the extra expense of a rent and utilities and further insurances and everything. It sounds like that shop on your property
works the best.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
The key is just growth, and if the shop
there's going to come a point.
Obviously, there's going to be there, but man, you guys got a good setup.
Yeah, there's going to be a point where we're going to run out of space. So that's what we try to do. A lot of mobile stuff as well. So to try to keep the cars out of the shop. So
were you were a shop or you were?
Yeah, I was shop.
Okay.
So
I never
always wanted to go mobile. It was a dream of mine, and I had some box vans that I wanted to convert into mobile rigs, and I had them all built price-wise, like how I could do it. We just never actualized, because I always thought, like, man, this would be great. Take a Friday, hit up a bank, just wash some people's cars.
Man, that was my life.
Like that could be a good change of pace. Get out of the shop, and
I had
just never
a hard time stomaching. Maybe it's because the property's so expensive in San Diego also, but like for me to get a shop and you're looking at the first $4,000 of the month is just going to pay bills and then you're not going to make any money until after that. And it was just so easy for me to do well being mobile. Plus 75% of the time it was just me and my dog, which was very, very zen.
Well, and like at our shop, it was it was $1,500 a month for I think I had 1,500 square feet, but I had a huge parking lot that had a bullpen, so it was all fenced and 8-foot security fence, and I had cameras and all that, so I could store a lot of cars, which was great. But then I had room to, we could detail, and then a nice heater, and so in the winter it'd stay toasty warm, and we never had to worry about being outdoors. And we were like 2 blocks from the river, so you could go to do Zen stuff down there. But it was it was nice. It was relaxing, and I didn't mind it. But that was when I set up the shop. Like I needed a shop because mobile wasn't gonna work.
And us. On the side of being able to have employees and really grow, I don't think I've seen anybody that's really been successful at growing a mobile business, although I've heard so many people talk about they want to do it, but to have multiple rigs out on the road. And I don't know why that's not a viable business option. Maybe it's because you can't control the employees.
It might be that. I think is probably the biggest thing.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
It's different when if you guys each had your own rig and you jobs, then it's fine. Yeah. Or say one of your kids gets good, and same thing. It's more of a trust level. Family-wise, it's harder when it's someone that you have to have trust with that employee. I had that with Matt, and so I know that I could Matt could have his own thing and run, and I'd have no issues. But I didn't have that with other employees,
right?
Because I just couldn't. Even guys that I knew for 15 years and worked with and wanted a job, it was still like I don't know if I could even get there. Leave you in the shop to make sure that stuff's going to get done.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that stops guys the hardest is just, or you could do like Yvonne did and just sell them franchises.
No, not a bad.
Then they're
not a bad idea.
For all that, So he trained them, but then, it's all their money invested into the vehicle and all that kind of stuff.
I know one of the things that we do have coming up is we're going to start doing OptiCoat centers around the whole country, which is super exciting too.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure how those opportunities are going to unfold yet. It's just rumblings that we have in the back.
Well, I don't know. What do you think? We've been chatting for a good amount there. How are you for time?
You know what? I'm good. We can keep going. We can stop. I can do whatever you guys want to do. My podcasts are always about an hour long, give or take. And I find that consistency is really important.
Well, I noticed that as a detailer, again, listening to podcasts, I don't know if you guys listen to, what do you listen to when you're detailing? Music?
Oh, no.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Wow.
The hum of a vacuum.
The hum of a vacuum, and then obviously my 4-year-old.
Yeah, that's true.
I really can't have like headphones on anything jamming out. Yeah, no.
Cruising around.
I mean, we have a Bluetooth speaker thing in the shop, but it's very rare that I'll use it unless like she's hanging out with grandma or something. Then I'll have it on low because I always get yelled at by her. So I typically don't have anything personally. This guy over here, you can scare him because he won't hear you coming in.
Yeah, I do. I'm.
He puts his little earbuds in, and then we go behind him and we go.
I have to have some sort of music going on. I have to have something happening, whether it's music, whether it's a podcast, whether it's something. Something has to be on for me to be able to function. Even when I'm laying film, and you're trying to be real quiet.
You get into that zone.
You get into almost a meditative state. You get into your own world, and that's where you stay. And for me,
noisier things.
I work with noise. I work with music. I work with something happening in the background for me to get there.
Yeah.
Some people
That's what I miss about detailing, actually, is I used to be able to listen. I would listen to Bloomberg radio all day long, and it was so great, and now I just don't have time.
Yeah, I'd listen to podcasts, audiobooks, all kinds of stuff all day long while I was working. At a desk, I still try. I mean, I walk around still carrying Bluetooth, hoping I can put my earbuds in and work on something, but it doesn't happen anymore.
I turned my phone off for the podcast. That's the only reason. And it only took me up to 101 to start turning my telephone off, so it doesn't ring during the podcast. But you can't get anything done.
I just put mine on vibrate and then set it on top of a towel. So now if it does, anybody does, it doesn't. You can't hear it.
Yeah.
No, but we've been trying to do 1 hour mostly because I remember I'd hear other podcasts that were like 20 minutes or 15 minutes, just little bites and snippets. And it was always the biggest frustration for me because it'd kick you out of the zone.
Yeah.
And so like you're in it and then it'd stop and you're like,
Now you got to find something else.
Find something else to get you back in. And then again, it's only 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And so I'd always search for ones that were 1 hour, 2 hours. The Joe Rogan podcast was great because it was 3 hours. So if I needed to like focus, because I'd also have customers that would call.
Yep.
And that would kick me out. And it's like, sorry. So, and I always joked with my wife that I needed some time to I just need like an hour to polish. So I'd bring the polisher home and just work on my car because I just needed that hour of meditation. It was basically meditation at its finest. That's for me. That's what it is.
I had a month ago maybe. I was just having one of those days. I had fires I was putting out. I had projects I was working on. It was like overwhelming and a very frustrating day. And about 2:30 in the afternoon, I was like, just put it all down, and I went out and I washed the car in the driveway, like to kind of bring me back down because I was feeling stressed.
It's weird how that calms you down. Like that's why I still wash my car at home because that's my way of like I just need to wash the car. Like just let me wash it, let me do that. But then that's how I think more and more folks have learned that that's a good way to relax. And so that allows for podcasts, for YouTube videos, for people to start doing their own, learning about products and care, and because now they're taking care of their cars.
Yep.
So I'm
because
feeling,
for them it's relaxation.
Now we got a new title, so somebody's got to make something to go with it, a book or a podcast or something, The Zen of Detailing.
There you go. You should do that.
Yeah.
Man.
When am I going to do that? I don't have time for what I'm doing.
Plenty of downtime.
You're not detailing anymore. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not like you're
Man.
just
So
sitting
much
across
time.
the world.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that, for me, it is. It's a get into that meditative state. You know, most people have a hard time understanding. You know, getting into a calmer, deeper understanding of yourself. Like I'll go in the shop and I'll start doing something. And I'll just start polishing, and I get into a mode like everything that happened throughout the day, it goes out the door, and I see what I've created and I've done, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment. You're like, holy shit. Yep.
And then you have come eat dinner. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
That's the neat thing about the detailing side of the world, probably as opposed to your other job, as what I've noticed is I like that you do a job and it's completed and you get to see the end result many times in one day.
Yeah.
Done.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. And when your other job, at my job, there's projects that you're going to work on that you're not going to see them to completion for 9 months down the road.
Yeah.
Yep.
So sometimes I feel like I'm always scrambling to try, like I'm not getting anything accomplished, but it's all just a process.
Well, and I can remember back to when I first felt that sense of accomplishment. I was a 17-year-old kid working at a car wash, literally down the street here, car wash, that's where I started. And I was running the tunnel, and I was pressure washing the car off and scrubbing the wheels and scrubbing the bugs with the brush and then punching in the code of what kind of wash that customer was having as their car went through the brushes and the foam and everything. And I remember seeing it. It was a very dirty car when it came in, and then it popped out, and it was like my first week there. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, that's a really shiny car. Look how clean that looks. That looks really good. And they're dressing the tires and stuff. Now, granted, that car probably swirled out like crazy because I'm a 17-year-old kid with a scrub brush in the back. I'm just like scrubbing mud off the car. Like, I didn't care. That's what I was doing.
That's what I was told to do.
That's what the car washes do.
Yeah, but I saw it at the end, and for that was something. I remember seeing that, and I was like, wow, that car looks really good. And I remember that was like the knack all of a sudden. That was the little kick that I had where it was like, oh, I like this. I like doing this. You know, so.
When you said that, did anybody else right in their head go, my Sharona?
Yeah.
Because immediately that's what happened when you said
the
that.
knack. It was just instantly I had that knack.
That's awesome.
But I don't know if you guys have ever had the moment like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially with interior
most amount of that.
Yeah. Especially when you get the lovely, like, light ivory beige seats, the leather ones.
Why they even make that? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, but my current car that's the interior with 3 kids looking at this guy over here.
I don't know why they make white shoes either. It just doesn't make any sense.
Every car I own has black interiors.
Oh, no, I know. I asked him, like, they didn't have, like, a different shade but this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay.
Have you guys seen the new interior of the Teslas? It's like whiter than white, bright white, white.
Yeah, pure white.
Yeah,
that won't be a future interior car for me at the moment with my kids. But
Yeah.
even as an adult, I cringe. I'm like, oh, that's a white car. It's pretty. They're pretty. Man, they're pretty.
I think it's called painful white. It's
But you
so
think
white.
about, like, denim and white.
Yeah.
Because that's what I clean my car. I'm like, oh, look at the blue. Oh, that's awful. And then I wipe
Which
it.
OptiGuard leather protects against that. So another reason to get your interiors coated.
Yeah, gosh, I can't imagine having a car with that crazy white interior and not having some kind of coating.
think
At
it's
least you're
different.
covered if something does happen to it, you know?
It's like we're detailers, so we see that. But there are customers that are like, I love that color interior.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, the same ones that buy a black car. My very first car was black. Never again.
White.
White. I bought a black minivan and with an all black interior, which was that's the reason I bought the van, was because it was all black interior, and it just unfortunately happened to be black on the outside. And my wife even stopped me and said, I like it, but you realize it's black on the outside, right?
Voice of reason.
And I was like, I promise I'll keep it nice. I'll keep it nice. And that was the first vehicle I started testing coatings on, was to see if that would.
You impulse bought a minivan.
Yeah. And I miss it. I sold it last year, and I miss it. I wish we still had it back.
Yeah? What was it?
It was a 2011 Dodge Grand Caravan. Had 276 horsepower, that Pentastar V6. It was pretty amazing.
Could have been. It could have been, man.
It was good. It was nice. And it worked for us. And, you know, I only have 2 kids, so it was just fine. We'd fold the back seats down and then just leave the 2 in the back. And it was like a 4-seater. It was sweet. And if you would have told me at 16, 17 that I'd have a van at 37 years old and I'd have 2 kids in the back with headphones on watching Pocoyo, my wife would be in the front doing Sudoku, and I'd be blasting fools at 100 miles an hour.
They would have said, they don't have VCRs in a van.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. I would have been like, what? I was passing people doing 100 in my van and loving it. And no one was and my family didn't notice. No one noticed. No one was happy. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. So it was amazing. And I miss it. So I joke that I may have to buy myself a van.
And before I leave Boise, we're just going to go to the Dodge dealership and sit you in some minivans and do some photo shoot.
Yeah, we'll just pretend and hang out. Yeah. Well, cool, guys.
Yeah? All right.
Anything else, Dan?
Well, I guess that's about it for this one. We're doing this all day long.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rafa, Christina, thanks.
Yeah.
So,
thank
how do people
you.
find you?
Instagram. CRC Detailing.
There you go.
So
Check them out. You guys got a Facebook page, too?
there's a Facebook page. Look us up. Reach out to me directly on Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, you're on the Detox group. You're on
Yep.
the Optimum Synergy Podcast group.
Yep.
You're on all those. The Optimum Car Care Authorized Installers group.
Opticoat.com.
Opticoat.com. We're on
on the map.
PPF.
Yep.
Everything. We're on everything. So you can reach out. Reach us by phone.
This kind of sounds more like, how don't you find me?
Yeah.
Realistically.
You better know. You better know. CRC Detailing.
CUEVAS. So.
All right. Well, thank you all for taking some time to be on the Optimum Synergy Podcast / Rag Company Podcast / Detox Cast.
Yeah, Detox Cast. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.